Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you guys could join us once again. For those tuning in on the simulcast on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, we're glad you all could be with us. We're going to welcome in our friends over on Instagram so they can be a part of our chat. And last but certainly not least, going to bring in our friends over on Amazon Live so I can introduce you guys to this. Not only our guest, but also a book you definitely want to add to your reading list as we're wrapping up the summer. I love history. So, any opportunity I have to be able to learn something new, I love the opportunity being able to share with you. And this next story, I think you guys will all find fascinating. We're now live on the Amazon Live platform with Cyrus Ware Presents. If you guys are new to us on the Amazon side, welcome. Make sure you guys do hit that follow button, either here in this corner or down below. You also will see the book by our next guest. We're so excited to welcome Miss Cheryl McKissack Daniel to our broadcast today. Her book is the one you see here, The Black Family Who Built America. We're going to talk to Miss Daniel not only about the writing of the book about her family's history, but also what it's been like for her also to reflect on that history and the impact for all of us today. If you guys have not gotten your copy of the book here on Amazon, you guys can get it in print or the Kindle edition. But Miss Daniel, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.
Look, the pleasure's definitely all mine. When I first was introduced to the book, I was fascinated because honestly, I knew nothing about the impact of the McKissack family. And I should also mention you're the president and CEO of McKissack and McKissack. What has it been like for you to be able to not only share your own family's history, but also the history as it regards to this country?
You know what? It is incredible the feedback that I'm getting that's similar to yours.
Hmm.
People tell me all the time they just had no idea about the McKissack family. And, really, it goes back to the fact that people walk into hotels and airports and train stations and hospitals, but they never think to themselves, even if they like the space, who built this?
Right.
And so we're bringing awareness to
Yeah.
people about our industry,
Hmm.
which is the design and construction industry.
Hmm.
But also, we're saying that a Black family has been a part of this for 230 years in America,
Yeah.
building America and its structures, even as far as the big city of New York.
Yeah. And
So
Miss
it means a lot to me to get this book out and to get this story out,
Mhm.
because more young people need to know that this is a profession that they can choose, and it can be lucrative and build wealth.
Yeah. I'm saying to that point, I think what was so fascinating to me is that, we hear, and this is of course I think part of those in charge not really helping us to better understand it. We hear words like infrastructure. We hear things about building. We don't really think about what that means. That these are not only jobs, but these are individuals who not only have a profession, but also a lot of them, like in your family, this is something that has been in the family for quite some time. Is that also part of the conversation you've been having on not only the impact and importance of infrastructure, but also the family legacies involved in a lot of it?
Right. Well, infrastructure is core to how we exist,
Hmm.
how our transportation and how we get from point A to point Z, especially in the inner cities.
Hmm.
And so, it's important that, these projects that we have, which by the way are mega projects now, they're growing in size,
Right.
and the dollars required, the capital dollars required to build them, these are pertinent to everyday life.
Hmm.
And so asking this question, who built this, is extremely important.
Right.
And so, yes, this book is out there to impact everyone in that regard,
Hmm.
but especially young people, that because we have a pipeline shortage with the architects and engineers coming into our field in America. So I want to, use my brand to heighten the awareness around this career path.
The way the book is written, Miss Daniel, we're able to get very close into not only your perspective of the family and what the family was able to do, but also we're able to see too that and remember that again, we're talking about individuals. What was that like for you growing up? Did you always know that your family had made an impact in this country?
Yes, I mean, I was aware that we had this long legacy and lineage of design and construction professionals.
Mhm.
Um, Growing up in Nashville, There were not a lot of architectural firms that were Black. Matter of fact, there was probably one or two others, and the same in construction. And so I knew that we had this prominence and this craft that went way back, and I could sense the impact that it would have, especially when I would go to campuses like Fisk University and Tennessee State and Meharry and realize that my father or my uncle or his brother or my grandfather built all the buildings on those campuses.
Right.
And if you think about Fisk University and you go into Carnegie Hall over there, and when you walk in, it's beautiful, and you have murals by Aaron Douglas painted right on the walls. So this is about the Black Renaissance, and so I was very clear of the impact that the history had and what it meant for our community.
Love that. I want to say hello to my mom that's joining us over there on Facebook. Hey, Mom, glad you could
Oh,
join us over there on Instagram. Hello to you, R.W. Hawkins. Also related Extreme. Hello to you joining us there from Ohio as well. If you guys have any questions or comments, you guys can drop those in the chat. Same for you guys over on the Amazon side. Miss Daniel, the other thing that struck me was that, as I mentioned, legacy and impact, we get to see through your eyes and through your words the physical toll that this all took on your family. And I'll talk around it, but you know what I'm talking about. When when tragedy struck on your family and your mother had to see how individuals dealt with her versus your father, we're able to see some of the same things we see today about when it comes to women in certain professions or even women in business. What was that like for you to reflect on those challenges then and how many people are dealing with those challenges today?
well, reflecting on it, considering where we are today,
Mhm.
we're in an environment where people want to do away with DEI programs. People want to erase history. So when I reflect on what my mother went through and what my forefathers went through in their path in building their businesses, I truly believe that what we're going through is a blip. We will get through what we are dealing with today because it's nowhere near as bad as what they went through. When my
Right.
mother first took over the business, she could not borrow money.
Mhm.
She was not respected as a woman president. She literally went from being a housewife, which had a certain connotation to it, not no business acumen, not as smart, all of those things. But she was the opposite of all of that. She had a great business acumen and she was very smart. She had a master's degree in psychology, which we say all the time helped her deal with the manias and phobias of men that couldn't understand that a woman could run a business, that a woman could manage her staff, that a woman could go out and sell new business and be an awesome business development person for the company. And so it wasn't until 1990 that the Business Act passed in Congress, the Women's Business Act, which allowed women to borrow money from banks. I mean, and when you think about that, that's like yesterday. That 1990 was when Spike Lee put out his first movie, She's Gotta Have It. And so it wasn't that long ago, So, my mother has given me a lot of inspiration. She has taught me a lot about business and how to be a great business developer and leader and forge relationships long before I need them to
Yeah.
get those relationships intact as early as possible. And, just how to navigate through this business maze that I'm navigating.
Love that. We got a question over on YouTube, Miss Daniel. I want to post to you. Hello to you. Foo says, real question: is it a race thing or a poor thing? I feel like the U.S. has always targeted the less fortunate. Are you finding that in these conversations that it is becoming more about class?
Um, I, I mean, I think that America has always used the poor.
Mhm.
Let's put it like that.
Mhm.
But there's always been a racial divide. Um, this country has was built on that, and being able to point to an underdog or another class of people that aren't as great. I mean, in my book, I talk about Birth of a Nation. And
Mhm.
Birth of a Nation was the movie that was out in 1915. And it depicted Black people in such a bad manner that it really changed the perception of people in America.
Mhm.
The white people who now, were grappling with what to do with people they knew who were slaves, how to treat them, the ones that wanted to treat them nice and welcome into their world. This movie by itself scolded them and told them, do not do that. It would not be wise if you do that, because these people are killers, they're rapists, they're subhuman. And
Mhm.
then for white people who just out and out hated Black people for their own insecurities, or what have you, it gave them the license to kill us. And so, this is this movie um, had some of the pioneering techniques when it came to film. And so it was wildly successful in Hollywood, meaning it was credited to really inventing Hollywood. So if that's the core of Hollywood, what can we say about the rest of the country, our political systems, just the structure that we have set our country up as? So I think that racial is very much a part of what we're living in this country.
Yeah. And it's such a powerful conversation, Miss Daniel. And for myself, again, I haven't read the book, and I want to thank Simon Schuster for allowing me to get an advanced copy of it. What I thought was so fascinating was how timely this is, but also really does show what we've been hearing a lot about the importance of history, making sure history is not being erased, that it's been remembered. And someone on Instagram just said, "Thank you so much for creating this book." I think that's been the big thing. Is that also part of your message again? Knowing this history, for one, of course, you're learning this history and your family, but also sharing that history and making sure others know it as well.
Yeah, it's important that our history and our stories are told and never forgotten. I
Mhm.
just read in the New York Times on Sunday that the current administration is in the process of trying to erase anything with respect to slavery uh, in Washington. And so, listen, we want people to know that we've always been here, we will always be here. You may not have known about Black excellence in design and construction, but that doesn't mean it didn't exist. That
Yeah.
just means you ignored it. And so these stories like this are a receipt to say, we're here. We're not going anywhere. Not only are we here, we've excelled here, and we will continue to excel. Our perspective in this book is very different than, say, Roots. We all are very familiar with what happened in slavery and how, Black people were treated as slaves. But let's go beyond that and say, okay, now what have we done since slavery? And this book talks about those exact things that, shed a whole nother light on our community.
Chris Irvin on Facebook says, back in the day when you graduated high school, you would have certificates in the trades like HVAC, welding, etc. The Black nuclear family was one of the fastest growing economic groups, but media is encouraging single motherhood and not encouraging a family lifestyle. We need more Black entrepreneurship, more Black role models that does not promote victimhood, but instead promotes young Black men and women to reach for the stars together as a family. Your family, Miss Daniel, is one, again, like I said, I think people will not only learn about in this book, but also I think see as a model of what's possible. Talk to us about that for yourself when you think about legacy. How does that play into the legacy of UC, the McKissack name?
Well, legacy is important. Like I said earlier, it just gives me the reassurance that I can overcome anything I have to deal with, because I am standing on some strong shoulders that overcame much more atrocities and than I ever will face, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
in my lifetime. So legacy is important. But also, I think it's important for people to have a role model, to be able to pick up this book and read about a family that went from slavery to building JFK, from
Yeah.
slavery to the boardroom, from slavery to billboards. Like, this is a story that is pertinent for all Americans to see what can happen when you assert yourself, you provide a good product, your own purpose, you persevere. All of that is in my book.
Yeah. So great. And so glad we had a chance to talk about it. Again, everyone, Ms. Cheryl McKissack Daniel has been our guest. The book is The Black Family Who Built America. You can see it here on Amazon, available, of course, in print. But you also can get the Kindle edition of it as well. For those of you joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on YouTube, you'll find the link there as well. For those on X, you'll see it in the comment section. And on Instagram, we'll put it in our stories as well. Ms. Daniel, really appreciate this time. Congratulations to you again on the book, and looking forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you so much. I'll be following you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents. Until next time, you'll make it a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.